you doing, guys? And welcome back to TSTV. Now, I realise it's been a little while since I did some content. There's been a few bits and pieces that have been going on that have meant I've not been around to be able to deliver some content, which has been a shame. And again, for the Tottenham game last week, I'd already committed to doing something on the particular day, so I didn't actually get to see the game. And originally, I was going to be able to watch it and obviously deliver a match review properly and a match preview and things like that, but because the game got moved for TV, that kind of screwed things up. So apologies about that. And look, I didn't really want to give a real match review if I hadn't actually seen the game properly, because that would be slightly disingenuous. Obviously, since then, I've watched as many highlights as I've been able to, and I've watched a lot of reviews about the game, and obviously I've read up a lot about the game as well. So I've got a pretty good idea of how he played, how the game kind of panned out, and how we obviously got to get the 3 points, which was a really, really massive result. So in this video, I'll sort of touch on the Tottenham game, but I'll also do a preview for the Brentford game on Sunday as well. So yeah, absolutely huge 3 points against Tottenham. Always the biggest game of the season for Chelsea and Chelsea fans. It's probably the one game of the season I never actually look forward to, because losing against Tottenham, that kind of fear of, oh my God, we've lost to them lot again, or not even again, they hardly ever beat us, but it's such a rare occurrence that, it kind of, that anxiety builds up before the game. And I'll be honest, I was quite nervous before it. We obviously haven't been in great form recently. I know we kind of won 4 out of 5 before the international break, but we were playing quite poorly. Arsenal game was very, very poor and very, very disappointing. And I just felt, coming back after the international break, they probably will be fired up for it because they've had such a bad season. And it just felt like one of those games where if we did lose, things could turn really, really negatively towards Enzo Maresca, the manager, the team, the ownership. And it was such a huge game, not just because it was Tottenham, but because really it was going to be a barometer of where we were going to go for the rest of the season, right? Look, how I kind of see it is the 4 or 5 months prior to this international break, it's not been great. We've, I think, won 5 home games in a row, but performances have largely been pretty uninspiring. We've obviously been terrible away from home. The football's not been exactly very enterprising. It's been very stodgy and boring to watch. And the general consensus is that there was a lot of negative momentum going into the back end of the season. Now, obviously, Cole Palmer and Nicholas Jackson were back for Tottenham at home, which was great. Noni Madueke came on as well in the game. And those players make such a massive difference to us. I mean, obviously, Cole only missed the Arsenal game, but Jackson as well, for all his kind of flaws, I would say, as a player. He's not the most composed finisher, can be very erratic, but the team kind of really functions around him because he's able to get the ball from deep, drive forwards, stretch the play. He has so many more tools that Pedro Neto and Christopher Nkunku don't have when playing up there, that it has a massive effect on the team. And Cole Palmer, who's obviously our best player, and they have a really good connection. Noni as well. Obviously, I know he didn't start the game, but he's probably our most productive winger in terms of numbers, goals, assists, driving constantly at the back four. And again, it's another weapon that we've been missing. So good to have those guys back. And how I kind of see it now is, as I say, the season was kind of hinging on that game. And now we've just got to kind of almost park what you've seen before, I think. And it's not to say we don't review it at the end of the season. It's not to say we don't discuss it. We don't kind of look back on the flaws in the team in the previous few months. But it's almost like a mini season now. So after that March international break, really everyone knows what their objectives are for the rest of the season. So for Tottenham, for example, they've got nothing to play for in the league now. It's all about the Europa League, all their eggs in that basket. Liverpool going for the title, they'll win it at a counter, but that's what they're focusing on. There's obviously a few teams around the kind of relegation scrap. I mean, really, it's only Ipswich now, because they beat Bournemouth, and Leicester and Southampton have been so awful. Them and Wolves are kind of jockeying it out, and they're playing each other this weekend, and if Wolves win that, that's over. And obviously there's the kind of scrap around the top 4 and 5. So look, for us, for the rest of the season, we just need to see it as like a mini season within a season, and we need to pick up as many results as we can in the next few games. So we've got obviously Brentford away coming up. We've got Ipswich and Everton at home and Fulham away. Now, not easy games, potentially very tricky games. Ipswich at home, you would expect us to get the job done, although we lost away from home. But you could easily get 9, 10, even 12 points out of those, and all of a sudden you've kind of broken the back of the amount of points that we would need to get into the Champions League. Obviously, our last 4 games are very tough. Newcastle away, Forest away, United at home, Liverpool at home. So it's really imperative that we kind of use this Tottenham game as a little bit of a springboard to get as many points as we can now. Look, always delighted to beat Tottenham. By all accounts, the atmosphere was very, very good. It was a night game against our biggest rivals, it was always going to be. And the challenge now is for the team, the fans, all to kind of pull together for the next couple of months towards the end of the season and get into the Champions League, fulfill our objective, obviously win the Conference League as well, but in the context of the league, get into the Champions League, and then we can review things properly in the summer. So yeah, I mean, obviously, look, the Tottenham game was a great result, created much more chances, looked much more of a threat, looked solid defensively, and look, it is what it is. We always expected to beat Tottenham. It's almost kind of priced into our season. That's not to be disrespectful. Obviously, Tottenham are a big club, but just because of the history of the fixture, losing at home to Tottenham would just not be acceptable at all. So glad to get that out of the way. Glad we got the 3 points. Now, Brentford on Sunday, I think, will be a difficult game. They've kind of become our bogey team over the last few years. Now, obviously, we kind of broke that little hoodoo that they had over us at Stamford Bridge. They beat us 3 times in a row since they've been in the Premier League, and obviously won 2-0 back in December, which obviously was nice to be able to get that kind of monkey off our back. And Brentford have had a really funny season because the first kind of half of the season, their home form was absolutely incredible. They were scoring goals for fun. They looked like a really, really horrible proposition to go and play against. And their away form was terrible. I think they got 1 point out of their first 7 or 8 away games or something. And then it's completely flipped. So I think they've won something like 6 out of their last 7 away games. And they haven't won a home game in quite a long time. They've had a very funny season. Look, it's the biggest game of the season for them. Us and Fulham are their biggest games. Obviously, us being the bigger team than Fulham, you would assume that is, the much bigger game for them. Their fans are going to be really up for it. Their players are going to be up for it. They always are when they play us. They're going to be aggressive. They're going to be physical. They're going to get the ball in the box. They're going to, commit men forward. And it will be a tough game. I can't see it being an easy game. Hopefully we can ride the wave from the Tottenham game. Players coming back and hopefully get a bit of momentum, and a victory away at Brentford I think would be very, very big because it is a difficult place to go for us. We've had struggles against them previously, and it would just alleviate that pressure on all the home games, and particularly because our away record's been so bad. Really big game, and hopefully we can go there and put in a good performance and get a result. But as I mentioned, it will be a tough game. Now, on to predicted lineup. In goal will be Robert Sanchez. I think it's pretty clear now that he's back as number 1, whether we like it or not. Obviously made an absolutely horrendous sort of mistake for the disallowed Pat Matar Sarr goal. Spurs, what can you say? I mean, it's just no surprise anymore. Did make a good save later on from Son, but the thing is with Sanchez, his kind of reactionary stops have always been pretty good. He has made some decent saves along the way this season, but his intangibles as a goalkeeper and the amount of mistakes he makes and the amount of poor goals he lets in is just ridiculous. But look, it is what it is at this point. Brentford are going to target him. They're going to get the ball in the box, putting it under him, putting him under pressure, pressing him when he has the ball. So yeah, we'll have to see how that pans out. At right back, Reece James. I can't see Reece not playing in this game, particularly as he didn't start on Thursday against Tottenham, which I was very surprised at. He's been playing pretty well recently. It was a massive game against our biggest rivals, and I think you would ordinarily want your leader and captain out there, right? But Malo Gusto started that game. My only thinking when it comes to that is, obviously, Maresca doesn't like to play him more than once a week, and he's probably thought that Brentford are a much more physical team than Tottenham, and we would need Reece in this particular game more than Malo Gusto, who is not more of a technical player. He isn't better than Reece, but he's probably a lot more kind of at home in that sort of game against Tottenham where, by all accounts, he played pretty well. So, yeah, I'd say Reece at right back. Centre back, I would say it will probably be Tosin and Levi Colwill. The reason I would go with Tosin is that he is a bit taller than Trev, probably a bit more physical as well. And as we say, Brentford are a very big physical team and you're going to need as much height in the team as you can. So I imagine it will be Tosin at centre back along with Levi. And that's obviously because Wesley Fofana's injured again, along with Romeo Lavia, Kay Caprice. I mean, it's just getting boring now, isn't it? Such a shame because both really good players, but I'm at the point where you almost got to think you got to cut your losses in the summer. I know you're going to not get much of a return on them, but can't just have players going down every 5 minutes. It's just absolutely ludicrous. But look, there you go. Left back, Mark Cucurella. Not any other choice really. By all accounts, was pretty solid against Tottenham. As I said, this is the first kind of game I missed in a long, long time. But from the bits I saw, he did fine. And yeah, he's our only left back. He's our best left back. So yeah, he'll be a left back. Midfield, again, no shock here. it would be Moises Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez. Now, both were absolutely superb against Tottenham in the bits that I've seen. Both have had really good seasons, I think. Obviously, Caicedo's been the standout, but I think Enzo has really stepped up this season. His goals and assists return have been a lot better. And I think even when the team's been going for a tough period, he's actually been one of the better players, I feel. He's been one of the players that's kind of stood up, and he seems to have been taking on this leadership role. And I know there's a lot of issues around him kind of being the de facto captain when Reece James isn't there, and is probably not the right video for that. But I think in terms of just what we see on the pitch, I think he has stepped up pretty well, and he's having probably his best season since he's been with us. So yeah, he'll be in midfield with Moises Caicedo. In attack, now, it'll be interesting because obviously Nicholas Jackson's been out for a little while. Will he start again? I'm assuming he will. I think Enzo Maresca will obviously not play him against Copenhagen. He probably will go with Nkunku or Neto. And I think, again, we'll need Jackson's pace and intelligence in this game. And he's obviously had pretty good record against Brentford. I think he scored against them twice before. So hopefully that will give him a bit of confidence to go and get a goal, because he's not got a goal in 5-6 months. And obviously a lot of that he's been injured, but it'd be great for him to get back on the score sheet, and I think he did have a positive impact against Tottenham. Just behind him, Cole Palmer, very, very simple, back fit, back in the team now. He's had a little bit of a break, got an assist on Thursday, which is his first in a while, and hopefully that will do him good. So yeah, Cole Palmer in behind Nicholas Jackson. On the right or the left, I mean, it's difficult with Maresca because he switches the kind of wingers up, quite a lot. It's difficult to know who's going to play where. But on the right, I would go with Noni. Obviously, he didn't play for the full 90 minutes on Thursday, and I guess it would have been a bit of a risk to put him and Jackson in from the start, but I think now he's obviously got through that game. Bring him in on the right. He's very direct. He's someone that's got a goal threat as well. I'd like to see him on the right wing. And then on the left wing, I will go with Pedro Neto again. Lots of pace. I think he has, again, he's not pulled up any trees recently, but I think he's been good. He's worked hard. He's definitely shown improvement. And even though Jadon Sancho, from what I saw, looked a little bit better against Tottenham on Thursday, I would still much rather have Pedro Neto in the team over Jadon Sancho at this moment in time. So yeah, that's my predicted lineup. Now, in terms of a predicted score, it's a tough one because hopefully we can take that momentum from Thursday and get a really positive result, i.e. a victory, but it's quite difficult to see that at the moment, given our away form, given the fact that Brentford always see this as a huge game. And I think Tottenham at home is always a bit of a weird one because we're always up for that game. Very rarely are we not. Very rarely do we not perform. So I don't think it's always the greatest barometer of kind of where we're at. I think this game will kind of show, right, are we going to be in business for the rest of the season, or was that just a one-off against Tottenham? So I think it will be a tricky game. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I think we're more than capable of getting a result over there. Of course we are. Brentford have struggled at home recently, but I can't really see us keeping a clean sheet over there just because of the way they play. They're so physical. They get the ball in the box, and that's something that we kind of struggle with a little bit. And yeah, I can kind of just see it being one of those Sunday 2:00 games, 1-1. I don't think Maresca will see that as a terrible result. I think Brentford will probably see that as quite a good result. And I could see it almost kind of being a bit of maybe a dull game, but yeah, where the spoils are shared. So look, yeah, guys, first video in a while. Great to be back. Be more and more content coming your way between now and the end of the season. So yeah, that's my predicted lineup. My score prediction is Brentford 1, Chelsea 1. Hopefully it is 3 points though. And yeah, I'll see you for the match review very, very soon.